When I grew up back in 1930s, we lived on top of the hill from my cousin Lou Shriver, who lived in the homestead house, Union Mills Homestead house. He was my grandfather's first cousin. He walked around Union Mills very knowledgeably with a cane, big gray mustache. And nice thing about Cousin Lou is he used to drive his horse and buggy up to visit with my parents. That was a neat trick. But anyway, the subject today is a poem that he wrote in 1886 for his nieces. It was a neat poem, and my parents read it to us when we were children, and we'd like to read it to you now. I hope you enjoy it like we did.
To Winnie and Catherine. My dear little girls, in the middle of last night, while both of you were sleeping tight, as I have always done in years gone by, I harnessed up my reindeer, brisk and spry, to make my journey throughout all the land and bless the children on every hand. I called Mrs. Santa Claus up out of bed and told her to help me to load up the sled, which we soon had filled with candies and toys and other good things for girls and boys.
When everything was ready, I made a big jump and landed in the sleigh with a very heavy thump. Then bidding Mrs. Santa a jolly good night, away I flew and was soon out of sight. We made such a noise when we passed the North Pole that a big grizzly bear jumped out of his hole. Without stopping, I threw him a big slice of meat and said, "Give your cubs a good Christmas treat." It pleased him so that he laughed out loud. He danced a jig, and he even bowed.
My reindeer team with its many nimble feet was the best in the country and couldn't be beat. And who wouldn't be proud with such a tally-ho as they galloped and danced o'er the bright sparkling snow.
The man in the moon looked down with a smile when he saw how quickly we skipped over a mile. I smoked my pipe as we rode along and sang with the bells a good Christmas song. And so we went on crossing big hills till at last we came to good old Union Mills.
The children there I'm always glad to see because I loved them and they loved me. The first place I stopped was up on the hill, for there I had 3 little stockings to fill. When the stockings were filled, I took a sly peep at the 3 little ones tucked in their beds fast asleep. And brushing the frost from my old white beard, I gave each one a kiss that you might have heard. By this time the reindeer made such a prattle that I said to myself, "It's time to skedaddle."
So pulling the fireboard out of the floor, I popped up the chimney and was off once more. The slate roof, you know, is very smooth and steep, and we all tumbled down in a great big heap. And wasn't that indeed a very sorry plight for poor old Santa on a bright Christmas night? But the children, one and all, must have their gifts, in spite of upsets of big snow drifts. And as I slowly crawled out from under the sleigh, I remembered that where there's a will, there's a way.
I threw off my overcoat, which was heavy and thick, and had the sleigh set up again double quick. I then went to each reindeer and patted his head and said, "My good fellows, I am glad you're not dead." The candies and toys were pretty well mixed, but by working very hard, I got everything fixed. We hurried down the hill and out through the gate, for the upset had made us about 1 hour late. Those reindeer ran, yea, I might say flew, and I was soon in the room of your good Uncle Lou.
In coming down the chimney, which looked pretty black, I had a tight squeeze with my big heavy pack. But I pushed and pulled till at last I got down, and the first thing I did was to take a look round. Harry and your uncle slept soundly, without fear, and little did they know that old Santa was so near. The stove made the room so warm and so bright that to stay a little while I thought would be right. I took off my greatcoat and laid it on the chair, and and moved about the room with the greatest of care.
I sat by the stove and there began to think, and I wondered if I couldn't find something good to drink. I hunted all around, and I hunted very sly, for I tell you what it is, I was getting pretty dry. I opened very slowly the old kitchen door, and I saw 3 cider barrels placed on the floor. Very handy indeed was a glass tumbler too, which told a bad tale on your old Uncle Lou. I drank a glass empty, some 3 times or more, which I thought was enough, or I might get tore.
I came back again feeling boozy, you may bet, but to fill up your stockings I did not forget. As I filled them I thought, what could please the girls better than to receive from Santa Claus a good long letter? So I went to the chimney and unstrapped my pack, and I took out a nice sheet of large fool's cap. I sat by the table where pen and ink were handy, and was soon writing away like a regular Jim Dandy. As I wrote, one of the chaps in the bed gave a snore that the people might have heard down in Baltimore.
But I didn't care, I went right ahead, and was bothered very little by the snores from the bed. Hark, listen, what is that? Caramba, can it be? Why, as sure as I live, 'tis the clock striking 3. So no time could be lost, my leave I must take, or I will not get home till way after daybreak. Then bless you, my dear children, be good all the year, and when Christmas comes again, Santa Claus will be here. Affectionately, S. Claus.